Not so much a roundtable, so much as it's just me talking at you for a little while. We're just doing a quick one this month to give you some updates on what's going on with Seek and some of the recent things we've been talking about lately. So, in our last roundtable in May, we talked about updates to our legislative effort in New York State. So, as most of you know, we've been working on this legislation for a while now, like 5 or 6 years. We have a bill that's gone through a few different iterations. Last month, we updated you on some new additions to the bill that we helped make in response to some requests from our legislative contacts. So we just got word that unfortunately they didn't get around to putting it to the floor in this session. The session ends at the end of this month. So that means that it's sort of put off until next year. So we've been here before. This is just kind of the way the process goes. But the good news is we think we have a really strong bill, and we have done a lot of work with some of our contacts in the Senate, especially, and in the Assembly, to come up with this version that we have right now. Some of the legislators still have some concerns. We'll work to iron out some of those issues over the summer and before the next legislative session starts, so that by that point, we feel we're ready to go with a strong bill that can get some support behind it. So as we've been working on these bills, in the past, we've always thought we'd kind of wait until we knew it was actually going to be coming to a vote to ask people to be reaching out to their legislators. I'm kind of starting to think that maybe it might be actually useful and helpful for people to be reaching out to their legislators even before we get to that point. One of the concerns in the Assembly side of things, our sponsor, Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff, she was very determined to get this voted on this year, and it didn't happen. And she said one of the things was that her colleagues in the Assembly just didn't really have, it hadn't really gotten their head around this issue. And she would reach out to people, and they weren't really being responsive to her about it. So I'm thinking maybe, especially for the Assembly, we might need to be putting a little pressure on them to start saying, hey, you know what, this is a problem and we want you to do something about it. Yes, a bill does exist to address this issue. Please just take a look at it. If you don't like it, that's fine. We can work on it and strengthen it, but we want you to pay attention to it. And that's we as the constituents. So again, we have shared that information about how to reach out to your Assembly members and senators. I'll share that again in the show notes for this episode and on our website and all that stuff. But yeah, if you're a resident of New York State, it would be amazing if you could be reaching out to your legislators to tell them, hey, we want some legislation that will address the gaps to consumer safety and consumer protection with regards to the self-help industry. Right now, there's nothing. And as a result, we have all of these self-help providers with questionable backgrounds, promising questionable results to people, using questionable techniques, and there's no oversight. And one thing I think that's great about reaching out to your legislators is that so the legislative session runs from January through June, which means the rest of the year they're not in Albany with the legislature. So I don't know if this necessarily makes them more accessible, but I think it kind of does. I think through this second half of the year, they tend to be a little more present in their communities, in the geographical locations that they represent, attending community events and that kind of thing. So I think in between the sessions like this is actually a great time to reach out to your legislators because they're not as bogged down with all of the legislative procedures at this time. So yeah, if you can do that, if you're a New York resident and you can reach out to your senator and assembly members, that would be amazing, and just impress upon them the importance of doing something about this issue and the fact that New York can be like a groundbreaker in this area of self-help consumer protection. So the next thing we wanted to bring up was we have talked about in previous episodes that a goal for ourselves this year was to sort of turn this kind of informal series into a more professionally produced podcast. So we're really excited to announce that we're getting very close to doing that. We've been working with a podcast production company who has some experience working in this realm of self-help culty topics. They like the approach that we want to be taking in terms of being more about consumer education and talking about how to seek safely as opposed to just being kind of an expose for questionable stuff in the industry, which I think is important and has a place, but that's just not what we've wanted to do. So they seem to have a really good sense of what our goals are. And so, yeah, we think we're going to be looking at having that all ready to go, like probably in September and in the fall. So certainly we'll be making some big announcements about that when it does happen. The next thing I want to mention is to mark your calendars. If you're in the New York area, November 6th, it's a Sunday, we're going to be doing our annual Kirby Jam fundraiser. Again, we'll have that at the Powelton Club in Newburgh, which is the last physical location that we held the event at. Actually, we did it last year. I just wasn't there, but hopefully this year I will be there. That's going to be like a luncheon from 2 to 5. So again, that's November 6th at the Powelton Club in Newburgh. So we hope that you'll be able to join us. As you might know, the Kirby Jam is a really important fundraiser for Seek. It's where we pretty much fundraise most of our money during the year, and we do our auction, which is always super fun. We'll be working on getting that all set up and ready to go over this summer. So yeah, that is it. We'll be back with another roundtable in August. And in the meantime, feel free to reach out if you ever want to get in touch with us. Share our content with your friends and family, and we'll see you later. Thanks for watching.